We're here with Dan Gable, and he's out here at U.S. World Team Camp in Colorado Springs, and out here for a couple days. And first off, I wanted to ask you about Jim Peckham passed this week, and you knew Jim pretty well. Just your thoughts on that, what he'd done for the sport and everything.
He's a big name. A lot of people may not be that familiar with him if you're young. Jim Peckham was one of the old schoolers that got the athletes to work extremely hard. He was my assistant Olympic coach, and he had a lot of stories, and he had a lot of motivational type of tactics that really worked on everybody, especially me. But most of the things were really good, hard-working, disciplined type of moves from a standpoint of what you do to build your mind to be an Olympic champion or to be a world champion. And I'll miss him. It's not like I knew this wasn't coming. He'd been sick for a while, so it's not like all of a sudden you shock me, even though it hurts me because he's a special friend, and I'm a special friend of him and the family. But I think of Jim Peckham, I think of Bill Wick, I think of Bill Farrell. These guys actually set the standard for everybody back in the early 70s, and everybody's been trying to live up to it and surpass it since, and he did a lot for the sport of amateur wrestling.
And you hear about some of the old camps you guys had. I mean, the training you guys did back then was just unbelievable.
Well, between Bill and Jim, they got kids to do things that would be difficult to do today, but yet I think they can still do it, just because once they're attached and once people really believe in what they're saying, they'll probably jump on board.
Sure. Shifting gears a little bit, the New Wrestling Alliance, you're pretty heavily involved in that. Just talk about what we're trying to accomplish with the Alliance.
Well, between the NWCA and USA Wrestling and the Hall of Fames, formed an alliance for the good of the sport, mostly to develop some communication and trust, and to be able to actually spread our wings from there and actually do some great things, hopefully. Right now, it took quite a while just to get that mission statement put together. It just took a while for those three organizations, from the heads of the organizations, just to feel comfortable with each other. And then they went kind of back on their own business, and now we're ready to make another move right now. And that move, don't know exactly what it is, but we will need to get together again and determine what that move is. Whether that move is to start involving more people in our sport, or whether to emphasize a real important area that needs to be emphasized, don't know for sure. But it's definitely a good start from getting three organizations, three major people together, and trying to actually take us to a new level. And so that's where we're at right now. We took a little break, even though we don't think we have time for that break. But we have our own duties daily too as well. So it's time to move.
Sure. You're here for this World Team Camp. Obviously, the U.S. had a tough performance last year in Russia. You were over there watching it, and 7 new faces on the freestyle team, and Cale Sanderson's back. And I mean, just what do you think it's going to take for the U.S. to have a good performance in Turkey?
I think they're pretty talented. Whether they are going to do really good, it's going to depend on just what each guy thinks of himself, no matter what the draw is. We'll know pretty soon, but it's the time of the year to perform, and it makes all of our jobs a little bit easier from a standpoint of moving forth, being able to make and reach out to get other people to help. And so it's a huge 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days or more in the near future in Istanbul. So I'm out here just to observe for 2 days. I'm going to watch 1, 2, 3 practices, and all I'm going to do is probably have a conversation with Zeke Jones within 48 hours after I leave here, and just say some things that I think will be beneficial for this final burst of performance. So hopefully I'm a little edge coming out here, and I hope it works.
Yeah, will you talk to the team then a little bit?
I already have talked to the team, and it's not like I had to give them a raw speech. Just said some real fine points. Coach Jones asked some good questions that he wanted me to converse with him. It's done. I think they probably got a little bit out of it, but I think mostly it depends on what they think of themselves. And if they think a lot of themselves right now, and if there's a team orientation there, then I think we'll do okay. Even though it's you always have a lot of hope, but I really think that if we can get rid of the word hope in the future by start having some consistent performances year to year, then we'll be a lot better off than putting that word hope in there.
Right. Want to get your thoughts. Cale Sanderson returns. He's looked pretty good at the trials considering the layoff. I mean, what do you think of him coming back? And I mean, how well do you think Cale can do?
I think it's great for the sport. Whether it turns out great for him, yes, yet to be determined. He's already done some good things from a performance point of view. I don't mean back then, but I mean already since he's come back. And I think people are looking up to him. And I think he does look pretty good. He scrambled real well. He didn't have an easy time making it just because we had some tough competition at that weight class. But I just feel like names like Sanderson. I just saw Gardner walk by the window here. Cejudo. I'm out here, but those guys are still thinking about competing. I just think we need everybody to chip in a little bit, and when you start getting names that have made it and that are the press pick up on, that's very important for us.
How big an impact can a Jordan Burroughs have?
Well, he's already making an impact, not only at the collegiate level, but he's doing very well for stepping in. So it just depends on, he's got to perform when it really counts, and his impact can be huge for the sport if he does well. It's just like anybody else. This is the once a year, and once every 4 years. The Olympics. So once a year you get a chance to be a world champion. There's 7 guys in freestyle, 7 guys in Greco-Roman, and 7 freestyle women that are trying to make that mark. So when they make, that's 21 positions, and I tell you what, it'd be nice to have a high, consistent percentage of those 21 weight classes on a yearly basis.
Sure.
That's where we've been lacking a little bit, that consistency.
Sure.
And so if we can start now, then we at least got to start again.
Wrapping up here, the Olympic trials come to Iowa City Carver Hawkeye Arena next April. I know you're real involved with that, and I think they've sold about 5,000 tickets. Obviously looking for a lot more. Just your thoughts on the trials coming to Iowa City.
I think 5,000 tickets people would be ecstatic probably other places, but at the University of Iowa we have a reputation from a standpoint of all the records from a spectator point of view, and I think we can do better than that, and we will do better than that. But I think it's going to depend a little bit on some local performances of the local kids during the season to help build up a little bit more excitement than just the Olympic trials. The Olympic trials are already exciting in itself, but when you put local flavor in there, then you can fill the arena up. And if it's Metcalf and Sadik and Dennis and some of those guys, don't pick it up a little bit, our attendance will not be as good. But we have a lot of other guys that are other places too, that'll be performing there. Like Morningstar just went to Wisconsin, so we have and we got a lot of names that people will know that'll help the crowd. But you got to really be in contention. You just can't be another player or a wrestler in the tournament. People have to think you're going to win or hope that you're going to win from that point of view. So we got a ways to go yet to make it an outstanding Olympic trials. But I think what we can do is if we really make it an outstanding Olympic trials, then we can set the bar again for 12 and 16.
Last question. You're quote-unquote retired now, but I'm not sure what that means for Dan Gable. I mean, you're still very involved in the sport and great ambassador for wrestling, probably the best we have. I mean, just what do you do now as far as your involvement with wrestling?
Well, there's not much change from my thought process. I still get up in the morning and think about wrestling until I go to bed, from morning till night. But you know, there's not quite as much control by other people on me, and I have a little more control of myself. Of course, except for my wife, and I got those grandkids. But I have a little more time for them, you know. But I still am doing a lot of speaking, promoting, and like I said, I'm out here kind of evaluating a little bit right now. So I'm not going to let up, but at the same time, you know, there's a lot of other great people that need to get the job done.